And now, a story about JEDDS.
Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up to the ground come a bubbling crude.
No. Not that Jed. Not Jed Clampett. The Jed I'm talking about is, well, let's see what Wikipedia has to say about JED. A Joint Economic Development District, or JED, is an arrangement in Ohio where one or more municipalities and a township agree to work together to develop township land for commercial or industrial purposes. The benefit to the municipality is that they get a portion of the taxes levied in the JED without having to annex it. The benefits to the townships are that it does not lose prime development land. It can still collect property taxes as well as a portion of the income tax collected, and it normally receives water from the municipality, which it may not otherwise have. In 1993, the Ohio General Assembly passed legislation enabling local communities to create JEDDS. There are two JEDDS in Ashtabula County, both involving Geneva and surrounding communities. A third one is being created again for Geneva and adjoining Harpersfield Township. When you get off I-90 at the Geneva exit, you are in Harpersfield, but the growing number of businesses, including the Spire Sports Complex, are there thanks to those JEDDS, and they bring to those communities green gold, aka money.
There's been in the life of the two JEDDS, there's been over $3 million generated, which has been shared between Harpersfield Township and the city of Geneva. This has allowed both communities to have additional monies for infrastructure, for whatever they wanted to do, that they couldn't have generated within their own small base. The city would have had to have raised income taxes significantly to have raised that additional monies, and have been able to use it in the general fund for paving, for equipment, for improvements. And similarly, Harpersfield, with the income tax being generated, has been able to have a sizable chunk of money too, which has allowed them to maintain a uniform tax base. Otherwise, I mean, they haven't had to raise property taxes, and they haven't gone out for other levies because they had the money available. And the trustees can tell you certainly much more about what they've specifically spent the money on. But not only has in JED 2 has this income so far been paying for the sewer bill for the project, this construction of the sewers, but it has provided what has become literally profit for both communities.
And obviously it's generated good income and tax revenue to the township, which helps us so we don't have to go to the people and ask for additional levies. We're generating a nice tax base for us there.
With all the businesses that have grown up along there.
That's correct.
Yeah. For years, we had issues over annexation. You know, somebody would want to develop at the interstate, and we could provide them sewers, but we would always argue over that. So when the state gave cities and villages and townships the ability to work together and partner to create these districts, it really alleviated all that tension, and then we just had to really work together to find out how we were going to finance the infrastructure that would come into these joint economic development districts. We've been very successful. We're kind of old hats at these JEDDS. We've got two, and we actually renegotiated one, and we're starting to create a third JEDD. So we know the system. It works very well for us. The residents of Harpersfield and Geneva have just done an exceptional job in trying to create an atmosphere where we can grow our economy out at the interstate. And it really helps both communities tremendously.
You have to kind of leave your egos at the door, though, right? Saying, I'd like this in Geneva, and we don't want it, you know, Harpersfield's right off of 90.
That's exactly right, Bob, because in part of the agreement, it actually talks about us not trying to take advantage of, using our sewer rates or anything else to kind of steer people into the city. It really means we're in partnership with each other, and we should work together to grow all the economy in the area. And you might, you mentioned about Harpersfield, and do people even know? Most of the time when a visitor comes to our area or somebody traveling, they don't know when they get off the interstate whether they're in a township, a city, a village, and they probably don't care. We want to give them a good experience when they get off the interstate. So I think all of this has really spurred a lot of other topics that we've been working on. We created a study on Route 534, the corridor, that really will give us a roadmap for the next 10 to 15 years on how we need to develop and grow along the Route 534 corridor from the river to the lake. Encompasses city, 2 townships, a village, and really it just allowed us through, I believe, cooperating with these JEDDS to do other things. We have a new group put together, 534 Connect, that's going to do some marketing and event coordination. So it's been a good thing for the communities.
So there's always been interest in the interstate for development, but not having the sewers, it was very cost prohibitive. So with the extension going in, it is going to open up all those vacant properties for opportunities to access the sewer.
What properties are we talking about?
There is, I don't know the total acreage, but
Close to 100.
as he says, 100 acres. There are several, when you think of the city limits, almost look at where the NAD office is going out. All of that property on the west side would be available to have access to the sewers. So we, I know that in our other JEDDS, we've actually done together organized opportunities for hosting a website to get the information out there so people can contact property owners if they're interested in acquiring the property. We've also created a job creation tax credit within JEDD number 2. We've been working as a board. The bylaws are written in such a way that the focus is on improving those JEDD areas for infrastructure development. Presently, right now, JEDD 2, we are participating in expanding out Bishop Road for further construction. It only is constructed to go, I'm thinking it's a quarter of a way right now paved, but the balance of that will be paved so that it will go all the way over to Lefevre.
JEDD 3 will be an area along the 534 corridor between Geneva city limits and I-90. Harpersfield has land there to be developed, but has no sanitary sewer. Geneva has capacity in their sanitary sewer plant for more flows, but can't expand much within the city limits. So we're going to put a sewer out in their property, and we're going to share revenues from various sources to the mutual benefit of both Harpersfield Township and the city of Geneva. The sewers that are out there cannot serve along the 534 corridor because of the way they're constructed and how they come in. They don't have the depth to be able to flow down 534. So we have to route a new sewer, a gravity sewer, from in the city limits here. And since the road goes uphill to 534, we'll be able to maintain a fairly constant depth. It won't be excessive for most part. To be able to serve all the way back to the west to the ravine that exists there.
It's also could be used for existing businesses on the corridor, correct?
What we're going to do, we have some problems on the Old Orchard sewers with the flows. And we're going to take all the businesses on the west side of 534 and flip the sewer line, so instead of going to the west, it flows to the east and then down the new 534 sewer. That in turn will relieve flow problems on the Old Orchard sewers, which is mostly a residential area there, and will allow the Old Orchard area to grow in the number of homes that can be on the sewer there and grow out to what it was originally planned for back in the 60s. Yes, with the commercial flows on the east end of the sewers, they generate a little different type a flow with soaps and greases and all, and is typical of homes. And there are some areas, there's one particular area on Old Orchard Drive where the sewer line is basically squeezed between a dip in the road and the culvert pipe coming up beneath it. And so it gets cold in the wintertime. And when it gets cold, greases and soaps that are in that sewer can congeal at that spot, and then they cause a blockage. And then the sewage from all these, you've got an 80-room, 56-room motel, and you've got several very busy restaurants, and all that flows coming down, and it backs up and backs into basements through the sewer line. So we hope put an end to that by eliminating those.
But the property owners hope so too, the homeowners.
Yes.
We've got, we're currently in negotiation with the City of Geneva for JED 3, which is the area from Northwest Ambulance District on Route 534 south to Route 90. The purpose of that is to get a sewer installed so we can create some economic development and create some jobs in that area. We've just got our final draft from our attorney, and so we have to review that, and then the city has to review it, and then we just move forward with that. So we're looking forward to getting that resolved in a relatively timely fashion.
We have a good relationship with Geneva over the years and everything else. They've had negotiations. Actually, JED 1 was the number, I don't know what, 1996 or 97?
Something like that, the first.
Something like that. And then in 2006 we had JED 2, and now we're negotiating the JED 3. It's what it is working together to try to create infrastructure, because as a township we can't have a sewer or something like that, but we can develop by working with the city to put the sewer in, because they would own it, and then they would share with us with the income tax, which does help us in the long run for the township itself, because it's helped us to buy different vehicles and things like that we do not have to tax our people for.
Yeah, the JEDS have successfully kept HDT, formerly the Nordic Air, the jobs there, brought new jobs by allowing construction of the sewer line. The sewer line has aided Ferrante's Winery. It also allows further development of that area. Businesses can come in, it has the sewer available. So the JED itself has maintained as well as created a lot of new jobs already in what's now the JED 2 area. And JED 1, which was renegotiated, is the Spire area, which has allowed the expansion of Spire and the growth of Spire, the number of jobs there. The sports complex entirely fits into that JED number 1 area. We're looking for the same thing in JED 3. By allowing that to come in, hopefully we'll have development of hotels, restaurants, further development of that area by allowing sewer line to come down Route 534.
Actually, JED 2, the impetus for that whole discussion and creation of JED 2 was back then Nordic Air wanted to expand and they were unable to because they didn't have sanitary sewers. So that's really what started JED 2 discussions, and obviously we know that that's been a huge success, that HGT bought Nordic Air and still employs a lot of individuals from our area. So we just know how important JEDs are to our area and our growth and jobs, and it's just been a wonderful thing for both communities.
Well, if it wasn't for JEDDS, you wouldn't have Spire out there, right? You wouldn't have like the Pizza Hut and all of the things that are out there, Wendy's. And
You're exactly right. I mean, some of the development out there, on the east side was there. It really didn't have the capacity to grow because we couldn't take the flows that were needed. And with these new sewer lines, that's given us the opportunity to allow for that growth to happen.
So the township is able to keep their boundaries, and the city doesn't have the additional cost of annexing and then maintaining that area. So like we said several times, it's good for both entities.
It is. It's absolutely great.
So we have the JEDs basically are in the development areas, and we still have our rural areas, which many people move to Harpersfield just for the rural area. That
But they're close to.
they have both.
Yeah.
You have
And
both.
it allows this interstate area to build, because without the sewers, the area can't grow.
Special zoning is created for the JEDDS also. And one of the things that we want to focus on here is to keep our rural identity. So the JED had to have special zoning in there, and so we've got that done. So
Next thing is the 534 corridor to make sure that that doesn't get clogged up. So that's the next thing we're working on. Hopefully,
How do you make sure it doesn't get clogged
But
up?
hopefully that's not just the businesses like you talked
No.
about, the development of the road itself.
the road itself is going to have to be widened, things like
Widened.
that.
Oh, I see.
There's a
Yeah.
number of things that have to be
Streetlights.
done because you do want the nice flow. You want it to go all the way down right to the lake and everything else, which would be very nice for everyone. It'll be a nice thing without affecting the residents that are here. You don't want it to be a unpleasant thing for them.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the thing, you change their flow, and we want them to be happy. That's why we're here, as we represent them.
the 534 corridor study also is, there's talk about putting a third lane in, there's talk about putting turnabouts in,
Bike paths.
the bike paths.
Paths
And we
to
also
get
have a
people
real,
off of the road, that type of thing.
we have a real traffic a problem there, so we're looking at traffic lights at Clay Street and 534, traffic lights in front of the Spire. So it's to make the flow a lot better and make it a lot safer.
And
Yeah.
that idea, you're absolutely right, but it's to continue it, so it's continuous from, what would be 307 clear to Geneva on the lake. That whole study is the entire area, it's not just Harpersfield.
No, correct.
So it's to make it a uniform ease of transportation from getting off 90 to going to Geneva on the lake.
The financing mechanism that we have is a combination of loans, grants, tax increment financing, and development fees. So we've identified all those sources right now. We presently have a grant right now for doing the engineering. So we've identified what that is, and we believe with the development that's proposed out there that the revenues will cover those costs.
How do you market the area?
Good question. You obviously got to get the word out. Right now, our other JEDDs actually have billboard signs that say land for sale, and we do generate leads that way. We also have a website. I'd be the first to say that being out, getting in front of site selection organizations and real estate, commercial real estate representatives would be the next step. In our 534 corridor study, we've identified an action item list, and I want to say second or third on that list is to start to market to developers in the area.